Hello, welcome to the third episode of the Lay Family Yarn Diaries. My name's Kelly and I'm the dyer and creator behind Lay Family Yarn, and along with my husband Nick we create hand-dyed yarns. Welcome back, thank you for coming back. I really do appreciate you coming back. I've had some lovely comments and feedback since my last episode. I had hoped to do it before now, but I didn't really have a great deal to show, and I figured there's not much value in having a diary about your knitting and creative projects if you haven't really got any. So thank you for all your comments, and Fiona, who left a lovely message just the other day when I was beginning to wobble and worry about self-confidence and all those other gremlins. A very timely message popped up, and that was really kind, and gave me the sorry, Jeff's here and he's knocking the table. He's just had a treat and he wants more. So yes, thank you. And if you're new, thank you for coming to visit us and see what I get up to. You're very welcome. It'd be nice to interact and get to know you a bit better over the coming period of time. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all managing to continue to keep sane through this period of lockdown and uncertainty. We're very fortunate here that we're able to continue somewhat as normal. We're still going to the studio every day, well, you know, Monday to Friday. Of course we've made adjustments, we're only going to the post office once a week, that sort of thing, but in terms of getting up, having breakfast, showers, going to work, we're still able to continue with some regularity, which is great. So today I've got some works in progress to talk about, some of which are new actually, you haven't seen before. Got a couple of finished things to show you again, one of which has been cast on and finished since last episode. And I've got some cross stitch to talk about today and just some other bits and bobs. Usually a load of waffle and tangents galore, as you'll come to know and expect with me, I'm sure. I recorded this yesterday in the living room and Megan walked in. She knew I was doing it, but she came in to tell me something. And was it yesterday? No, it's Friday, sorry, Friday. Today's Sunday, the 10th of May. And she came in to tell me something, and she said, oh, you'll just have to edit this bit out. Well, if you've been here before, you know there is no such thing as edit here. It's one take, it is what it is. Coughs and sneezes are all included. I don't know how, quite frankly. So let's crack on, shall we? So the first, shall we do finished objects first? The first thing I finished, I cast on since last time and finished, a hat. Now we've got a few changes coming, you know, at work at Layfamilyyarn, and we're dyeing a whole new product range. So far we've dyed over 100 colours for this product range, and I wanted to give some of them a try. That's the biggest benefit and danger of my job. You dye things and you want to try them and see how they all work and knit up, and you have to really restrain yourself, because I have a habit of saying, oh, I'll have one of those, I'll have one of those. And you can only knit so much, can't you? Well, at least I can. So I cast on a hat. It's the Sweet Shop hat by Stephanie Lotvin, also known as Tellybean Knits on Instagram. And the hat calls for, it's a DK hat or DK and mohair option. Now, I don't like mohair, never really have. I don't sell it, again, for that reason, because I don't like it. And I consider my shop my stash. So if I don't like the yarn base, if I don't like the colours, the products, I won't sell them. However, I do love the Surrey alpaca silk, what we affectionately call floof. I adore it. It's just the bee's knees for me, and if I can get it into any project I will. That and mini skeins, I adore mini skeins. They are just little bundles of joy, aren't they? And that's what I use for my hat. I have created a little pack. I should have brought one to show you, but I don't really want this to become product pushy, you know. But I've created a pack of minis, 10 minis in various colours, but the one I chose was pink. And I marbled them together. So in the pack, it's not, typically I would lay out a pack in a gradient of light to dark colours or in tones from pale to bright. But this pack I didn't. There's a pale and a dark, a mid-tone and a bright and an obnoxious neon. And I've marbled them together to create. Can you see I'm fiddling with this pom-pom? I really like fiddly, aren't they? So yeah, let me show you and then you might be able to see. So this is my hat. So there's 5 sections going from this paler one here and to this brighter one here. And I marbled 2 colours in each section with a pink floof as well. So you can really see the halo there of the floof. And the marling gives a great effect, doesn't it? I think it does need a pom-pom. I was thinking of buying either a really obnoxiously bright pom-pom from the top, but then I have got this sort of creamy colour. It's like, it is cream, but it's got like a peachy tint that's not coming up on screen, but that really blends in with that bottom one, and I really like it. What I don't like, however, are these tie pom-poms. I much prefer the ones with the snaps, you know, with the pressed stud closures. I've had this on the hat twice already and it just keeps falling off. I think there is a way to do it with a button inside, isn't there, to secure? But I've not done that before. I'll have to check that out. But I do like the pom-pom, the colour and the, you know, the what's it of it. But I just don't like these ribbony ones, elastic ones. So let me try the hat on for you. Oh, sort my hair out. Yeah, it's got just a little bit of slouch. Nothing too much. And then I think with the pom-pom on top, it'll look really cute, won't it? I'll be glad when it's hat weather again. I do like wearing a hat. I must just make myself some fingering weight ones and just wear them all the time, because you know some women wear makeup, don't they? And without their makeup on, they feel stripped bare, vulnerable. I kind of feel that without a hat on, you know. I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and I was saying that in the winter I would find podcasting far easier because I can just wear my hat, my makeup, and I'll be okay. But without it, I feel really, really vulnerable. Which is silly, isn't it? I think some of it is because obviously I need grooming, like a lot of us do in this lockdown period. And I've certainly got more strands of silver glitter in my hair than I would like. But I'm not looking at them as grey. You know, they're bits of silver sparkle, aren't they? And I buy silver stellina yarn and I love the sparkling stellina yarn. So I'm considering my hair to have little bits of grey sparkle in them. Magical grey sparkles, as my friend Jules would tell me. But I do like wearing a hat. Anyway, so this is the Sweet Shop hat. I say it's by Stephanie Lotvin, also known as Tellybean Knits on Instagram, and I've used mini skeins and some floof. Though it certainly isn't enough to make a second hat. I have got leftovers of each mini skein, enough to go in my scrappy blanket, maybe you know, half a stripe on a granny square, that sort of thing. But certainly not enough to make a second hat or some shorty socks, even anything like that. My friend Nikki Winterton, Clara Peggotty on Instagram, she's got an amazing podcast, the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. She's only on maybe episode 3 or 4. And then prior to that she did vlogs throughout Lent, and she's knit this hat too recently, I believe, and yeah, hers is lovely. I think she used three different fibre types, yarn types, to get the gauge and effect needed. I think she used a fingering weight, a different mohair and a Surrey alpaca the same. And hers is beautiful. And I say that's the Sheep and Cheerful podcast here on YouTube. She's amazing. She's so polished and professional, and she articulates herself beautifully, and her knowledge of fibre arts is amazing. She's a wonderful crafter. So I would highly recommend checking Nikki out if you don't already. I'm sure you do. If you've bumbled across me, you're bound to know Nikki. And the second thing I've finished are a pair of shorty socks. I had started these last time. Here we go. There are two. I'll just hold one up. In fact, I'll hold two just so you can see how even the speckles are and the colour. But these are some shorty socks. They're based on the pattern by Jules, So Sweet Violet. I test knit her stripy short socks, if you remember, going back to my first episode. And this is the bare bones of that pattern, but obviously without the stripes. So it uses her beanie toe. I haven't blocked these yet, that's why they've still got that marks there. Her Godet heel, which is so neat and tidy. There's no holes in that gusset at all. It's incredibly neat. And then I just did a 2x2 rib on the top with a stretchy bind off. I really like them. These are in our yarn, our Perfect Posy colourway. There's none of these in the shop at the moment because we're planning on quite a big update. Well, I say quite a big, it is my biggest update to date. And fingers crossed, I'm going to do either an Instagram live or a YouTube live at the launch, because we've got so many new things to talk about and ranges, and it's exciting. I can't wait to show you, but I'm just waiting until it's all finalised and I've bought everything, scanned everything, labelled it, and then I'll start to show on Instagram what we've been doing. But it's been incredibly hard work. But yeah, I'm hoping to do sort of a virtual yarn show, you know. We'll do it at the shop and we'll talk you through what we've got new and yeah, our plans for it. Show you some colour combinations that work together, show you how you can put together things to make hats like this or other projects. But that's to come. If I don't lose my bottle, you know what I'm like, I could well chicken out at the last minute. But I've said it now, haven't I? So we'll see. Nick will be with me there. So, you know, and you've got the person that lifts you up most in the world, the wind beneath your wings, so to speak. It's easier, isn't it, I think? Well, for me anyway. Just going to have a quick slurp. So they're both my finished things this time. Hat and socks. Quite nice, I was pleased with those. So I've been working on a couple of things this time. Before I moved in with my parents, while we were waiting for our house to be built, I dyed yarn at home. I always have to remember to say dyed yarn rather than just dyed. I dyed yarn at home, and at that time I always had a project in the kitchen. It was typically a pair of socks. And you know, in those moments where you're waiting for yarn to set or speckles to take and all the rest of it, I used to be able to just whiz a couple of rounds, and it was a really easy way for me to squeeze sample knitting in those lost moments. You know, there's quite a few minutes per day that are just lost, aren't they? That are dead time, really. If you think about it, as a yarn dyer, some of the colours might take half an hour to take. Be that a solid colour or speckles. If they're particularly reds and purples and things, they can take ages to set the speckles. At work now, that's not an issue. There's always so much to do, so much to do. Whether that be answering emails, taking orders from customers when we have them physically in the shop, skein yarn, winding stripes, getting yarn ready to soak, labelling, packaging, social media. There's always something to do in that downtime, so I have no knitting at work at all. Even at knit night, rarely do I sit and knit. I'm usually doing other things at the same time. But at home, I found that whilst I'm waiting for dinner to cook, I don't go into the living room in between. I just sit at the kitchen table, and inevitably I end up scrolling on Instagram, you know, just not wasting time, because if I'm interacting and talking and conversing with people and my friends on Instagram, that's never ever a waste of time, is it? That's joyful, and it's important to talk and to connect, and now more than ever. But when you're just doing this aimlessly, there's no value in it, is there? All that to say, I've started a kitchen table project, and I am knitting this time not socks, the wondrous dishcloth by Jules So Sweet Violet. Now, I test knit these for way back when, and I've got 3 or 4 that are in constant use, and they've been in constant use since we moved into the house in September, and they are a bit grubby now. They need to be relegated to the cleaning pile as opposed to the dishwashing pile. They're brilliant, and they just throw them in the washing machine with the towels and the everyday laundry, and they're perfect. But as I say, they're a bit misshapen now, and they've got a few stains on them, but they're perfectly usable. They're certainly not ready for the bin or anything like that. They're perfectly usable, but I don't want them on my windowsill. You know, the whole point of knitting dishcloths, apart from the sustainability and the environmental factor of not using microplastics and things, is about having beautiful things, isn't it? Making the ordinary beautiful. And certainly for me, I've got a little basket on my windowsill with my knitted dishcloths in. So that's what I'm doing at my kitchen table. So let me show you. I've got this cookie jar that I've had for some time, and I've put all my little balls of cotton in there. These are the sheepies Katona, or at least that's what I call it, sheepies. And I've got them in all sorts of colours. All sorts of just pretty colours. And I've put them in this cookie jar, and they're on my Welsh dresser in the kitchen dining room, and I'm just working my way through them. Some will be for gifts, but mostly they'll be for me. I'm sure you're all familiar with this pattern. It needs no introduction, I'm sure, but just in case, it's the Wondrous Dishcloth by Jules of So Sweet Violet. And I've finished one. I finished this minty green. And I've actually finished the blue now as well, but it just needs kitchening. I shall do that while cooking lunch today. And then start another one. And I've literally only knit on these whilst preparing dinner, waiting for Nick to come down before we go to work in the mornings. And they're great, you know. I mean, they took me a couple of weeks to get through those, but they're 2 lovely dishcloths that I've physically got now from stolen time, if you will, you know, time that I was just sitting there doing nothing. I think that's great. I made a mistake on that one, can you see? Yeah, I forgot. Midway through the row, I think Jeff did something, and I forgot to do my pearls, but no, it's okay. They're washcloths for me. It's fine. If I get enough through the year, I know Nick's mum wants some, and I shall pop some in the Christmas boxes that I'm putting together for our parents. With some, I will put some in the box. Either they can, and I shall put some nice soaps in, so they can either use them as body wash cloths or dishcloths. It's their choice, isn't it? Do you do anything like that? Do you have a project at your work desk, at your kitchen table, like I do? In your car? I know a lot of people have them in their car, don't they? I don't drive, so I don't. Yeah, do you find those stolen moments to squeeze a row in or two? I'd love to know. If you want to comment down below, I'd be interested to hear how you squeeze those moments of stolen time. I wonder if we might have a knit along or something, or crochet, of course. This is a knitted dishcloth pattern, but I know Sandra Cherryheart has one incredibly similar called pine cloth, some such, and that's a crochet one, but it's incredibly similar to this one. So if you wanted to crochet some dishcloths, and that cotton yarn is really inexpensive. I got mine from the, oh hello, oh it's done it again. I don't know how to change it. Come on, come back into focus. Hello. Let me pause it a minute. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know how to change it. I'm sorry, it'll have to stay in. Yeah, these little balls of yarn, they're really inexpensive, aren't they? They're under £1, and it does take all of it. But yeah, let me know if you fancy doing a little knit along, maybe a stolen time knit along, or kitchen table project knit along. We could think of a cal name, a hashtag name, and yeah, let me know. I wouldn't do it on Ravelry. I'm not very good at Ravelry. Ravelry to me is just somewhere I go to buy my patterns, and I certainly don't want to give myself the pressure of more admin and more work, really. So it would be very informal, but either on Instagram and what have you, we could do it, and just share projects and comments below. I can always put a little prize package together if you'd like to. Let me know. I would like to. Well, I'm doing it anyway, but if you care to join me, let me know and we can organise that. So that's one of my works in progress. That'll be an ongoing work in progress there, won't it? The second one, and the one I've been focusing all my attention on certainly this week, is a test knit again for Jules. It's very much the Jules show, isn't it? But I don't mind that. She's a really good friend of mine. I love her dearly. I'm knitting her timely tulip socks. The pattern's not released yet. As I say, we're test knitting it currently. I'm sure it will be next week maybe, or even the week after. I think we had a couple of weeks to do a sock. And a couple of us have finished a first sock. I'm just about to do the ribbing on mine. So yeah, I think it'll be maybe next week or the week after. So it won't be long. So here it is. She has shown it on her podcast and Instagram, so I'm not spoiling anything here. This is the timely tulip sock. If you can see those little tulip motifs. Great, aren't they? It's like a colour blocking. And in the pattern, Jules gives you direction on how to gauge when to change yarns and things, so that you do manage to use, if you choose minis, there's 6 minis throughout the sock. She gives you that instruction in the pattern. I love them. They're toe up. There's video tutorial for the tulip stitch, and yeah, I'm just about to start. Well, I'm going to finish this blue and then I'm going to do my ribbon in this cream. This yarn, Jules, the pattern suggests that you use 6 mini skeins, and Jules kindly allowed me to put some kits together for this to work alongside the pattern release. And I've used a kit called Ice Cream on the Harbour. We were due to go on holiday in June with my mum and dad. Not sure whether we will, I doubt it. Although it is in a really remote farmhouse in Cornwall. So very easily we could socially distance, and we could, you know, avoid to go to St Ives and Padstow and all those Perranporth Beach, all those really tourist populated areas, and somewhat self-isolate anyway. So we may not. But either way, my mum and dad won't be coming this year. They were going to, but Dad had a heart attack end of March. He's absolutely fine. He's perfectly fine. Other than getting really fatigued, really tired. And it's a 7-hour drive, I think, from mum and dad, so it's too far. And, you know, obviously with COVID-19, they're aware of their own vulnerabilities health-wise and just keeping safe. So they definitely won't be coming. So I wanted to dye mini skeins that represented our little Cornwall contingent, really. So we always obviously visit all the ice cream parlours when we're there on the harbours, typically. And our favourite one is, there's one in St Ives we adore, and there's one at Padstow. Oh my goodness, the flavours are incredible. And these colours represent those people. So, I'm rustling there in my knitting bag. I've got a biscuit in my knitting bag. Does anybody else have an emergency biscuit in their knitting bag? Sure, I can't be the only person. So we have, let me show you the colours. That is clotted cream. I don't think you can go to Cornwall without having clotted cream, can you? This one's peach Melba. And then we've got Hokey Pokey. Do you all know Hokey Pokey? It's like honeycomb and caramel. And then there's Black Cherry, Pistachio, and the blue is Bubblegum. Mum always has just vanilla, clotted cream vanilla. My dad has Black Cherry with a scoop of clotted cream on top. I mean, I don't like cream, so that to me is just hideous. But so yeah, that's what they all represent and who they represent. I'm thinking about doing another pair for my dad for Father's Day. He would really appreciate the sentimentality of the yarn, but he loves tulips. I've spoke about me and my dad and our fondness for gardening together before, but he loves tulips. So he would really appreciate these. So yeah, I think I'm going to knit another pair for my dad for Father's Day, which is in June, isn't it? When we should be on holiday, actually, thinking about it. So that's those. Oh, sorry, Jeff. I just dropped the bag on the floor and made poor Jeff jump. Oh, bless him. The only other project I've brought to show you this time is my bits and bobs cushion for my chair that I'm sat on here. But in all honesty, I haven't done a great deal. I've made this sort of my bedtime knitting, and I may be just doing a row or two at night before bed. But since I've been doing the test knit for Jules, I haven't done any. There's not a whole heap of progress to show you, but I just thought I'd bring it anyway. I do love it, it's so pretty. My only regret is this dark stripe. It just stands out, doesn't it? But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, on a cushion cover, I don't think you'll notice. I think I said before, this is the Bits and Bobs pattern by Kay Jones. I do have a blanket too, but I've just reduced the numbers, measured a cushion I have, and just reduced the numbers from there. I'm holding just a plain white This is, it's very indulgent. It's an alpaca silk cashmere as my plain, so it's so soft you can imagine. So yeah, I just doing a little row on that as I go along, here and there. Nothing too committing to that one. Oh, did I show you my bag? Megan made me this, bless her. I came home from work and she'd made me a little bag. She used a tutorial on YouTube. I love it. We need to get some ribbon or rope because she's found a couple of scraps in the scrap drawer. So yeah, I'll change those. She's done such a beautiful job. And the top stitching is so neat. She's so clever. But she's really enjoying her sewing again during lockdown. And cross stitching. Megan and I used to always cross stitch before I became a knitter, and knitting became my go-to craft. Cross stitch was that for me, and I was always doing it. And Megan, that was her first craft too, was cross stitch, and she really enjoys it. And she made me that picture there, but she's also made me this one. My favourite animals are ducks and giraffes, and so typically I either get duck or giraffe from Megan. So yeah, I got this giraffe cross stitch. It's lovely. It was for Mother's Day, but you know, it was a little bit late, but that's absolutely fine, isn't it? I love it. She's so clever. So I'm going to get this framed at some point. Obviously it won't be for a little while. I love it. That mummy and baby giraffe. So that's me and Meg. So yeah, I'll get that framed, and it'll either go here or on this wall here. Not sure yet, but either or. But it will be here in my little special nook. But yeah, I can't get that framed until we're in better times. I'm just having a quick look on my list there. Well, that's all my making. I'm going to be casting on this week a pair of socks for my dad for Christmas. Nick and I have started all our Christmas knitting early this year. We're wanting to make hampers and baskets and handmade gifts where we can for our family this year, and they all appreciate that. They're all very excited by homemade and handmade gifts. So yesterday Meg and I made some candles, tea lights yesterday. They're not for gifts, they're some for us and some are going to go out with the pudding club. So we've made all the candles for those. But yeah, we shall be pouring and making candles for our family this year. I'm thinking about I was thinking about how to package these little gift baskets I plan on making. And there's going to be washcloths in there, some soap, candles. I will make fudge for people, and I will make like a fruit cake and a Christmas pudding, that sort of thing. And then there'll be knitted socks, gloves for a lot of the ladies. We've done jumpers, as I've talked about. And I was thinking about how to package them in terms of a box, and I think I might put them in a cake tin. You know, a big cake tin, because then it's functionable, isn't it? And you can repurpose it. Can you hear that noise? That's Nick in the garden. He's landscaping our garden this period of time. We got the stuff last week, and that's him chopping through a railway sweeper. So I'm sorry about that. He doesn't know Shropshire's premier vlogger is doing her thing. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm thinking about a cake tin, and then it's, I say, it can be repurposed. Obviously I wouldn't put the cake in with the candles and soap because of scent transfer. Oh, he's back. So yeah, but I'll keep you posted on that. We'll see. That's yeah, my socks. I'm going to cast on a pair of bed socks for my dad. Some fluffy bed socks. Oh, my Jeff jumped again. It's no good, is it, Jeff? Anyway, I think that's all I have to talk about with regards to my making. I will pop on a video at the end of a walk that Jeff and I have recently taken. The ducklings are really growing now. I can't believe sort of week on week how quickly they're growing. So I'll add that little walk on the end. And I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Thank you for coming and watching. Thank you for bearing with all the noise and my ums and ahs and not knowing quite where to look. I really do appreciate you being here and spending some time with me. Take care, stay safe, and I'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks. Lots of love. Bye.